Hello, this is Tori with LANDIO. We have a new 320-acre property in Arizona. Yes, 320 acres. In addition to its massive size, this property also has a creek flowing through it. Having a creek on your property in Arizona, or any surface water for that matter, is a desirable attribute. The property has dirt road access, it's a nice rectangular shape, and both the east boundary and the west boundary border 640 acres of state land. And that's 640 acres on each side of the property. 320 acres is equal to 1/2 of a square mile. In a recent video for a property in Tennessee, we put the size of the 6.3 acre property in perspective by comparing it to football fields. And when you do the math on how many football fields fit into this 320 acres, the number comes in at a staggering 242 football fields. If you could imagine 242 football fields lined up next to each other with no space in between, that is the equivalent size of this 320 acres. Let's put the football field analogy aside for a moment and look at the famous Roman Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum is roughly 6 acres, which means that you could fit roughly 53 Roman Colosseums within this 320 acres. And now let's look at the Vatican City. Vatican City is roughly 109 acres, which means that you could fit almost 3 Vatican cities within this 320 acre property. And then when you think about the 640 acres of state land on each side, both the east and the west boundaries, if you add up the two 640 acres of state land, that's 1,280 acres. Now add this 320 acres in between and you have 1,600 acres. We'll do one more comparison. Think about that 1,600 acres. Central Park in New York City is roughly 843 acres. Which means that you could almost fit 2 Central Parks within that 1,600 acres. And this property is ideally positioned right in the center. In summary, you have a massive canvas with which you can create your land dreams. We're going to take a look at the interactive map. Here's the 320 acres highlighted in green. And here you can see Ash Creek flowing through the property north to south. And the approximate path of Ash Creek is indicated by this blue line. You also have this dashed blue line to the west that leads you to a high elevation point, where another seasonal creek appears to emerge, and whatever water flows through here heads downhill to the east, where it then contributes to Ash Creek. And this would likely be during times of heavy rains, or Arizona's annual monsoon season. And then if we zoom out just a little bit, you're going to see the blue shaded area to the east and the west. Those blue shaded areas are state land, and each one of these is 640 acres. If you like the way that we present properties here at LANDIO and you have a property that you're looking to sell, head on over to our website, landio.com, and on the top of every page, you're going to see a blue sell button. Just click that sell button and it will direct you to this simple form. Provide just a few pieces of information about yourself and the property. We'll then connect with you to discuss your property in the process. We're going to take a look at this property on Google Earth. This low-lying area here where you see the trees, that is the path of Ash Creek. Now there is some varied terrain on the property. You have this level elevated mesa to the east. Then if we take a closer look at the creek, you can see its pathway is marked by a much greener area. As we mentioned, there's dirt road access. We have a pathway marked from the northeast. But before we go into that, let's take a look at the terrain here. So if we zoom in, over here on the west portion of the property, you can see a road cut in to a high elevation spot. And then once you get to this spot right here, it switches back to the northeast even further, and up here at the top you have this cleared pad that looks like it was prepped for a home or a cabin. If we go down here and we try to give a perspective of what it would be like from that spot, the views from there must be incredible. Now we're back reoriented, the top of the screen is north, and if we take this road and follow it down over here, you can see it leads down to the creek. And then we have another spot along the creek down here. And then if we look down here on this little peninsula, you can see the road continue on and head down to this area, and it looks like at one point this was a cleared building pad. We don't know exactly who in the former chain of ownership actually created these roads and these strategically placed level building pads. Someone obviously put a lot of time, energy, thought, and resources into building these roads and clearing these building pads. Let's take a break on the map for a moment. I want to show you where the property is located and how to get there. Here we have the 320 acres indicated in blue. To the north is Interstate 40. To the northwest is Kingman, Arizona. Kingman has a population of around 33,000. In Kingman, you'll find a hospital, Home Depot, Walmart, Tractor Supply, Staples, multiple grocery stores, restaurants, professional services. We mentioned Interstate 40, which is likely the easiest way to reach this property. This image is from Interstate 40 heading east, where you'll take exit 87 Willows Ranch Road. And at this point, we're only 13.6 miles from the property. Here we are continuing down Willows Ranch Road. You'll continue on to the property through multiple unlocked gates. Here's one of the gates, and there you can see it open. Here's another one of the unlocked gates that you'll encounter on your drive to the property. Over to the east, you have Seligman. It's a historic town with a population a little under 500. That's only 48 miles from the property. If you continue east on Interstate 40, you'll reach Williams, Arizona, which has a population around 3,200. It's about 89 miles from the property. And then continue east on Interstate 40 and you'll reach Flagstaff, Arizona. Flagstaff has a population of around 77,000. And Flagstaff is only 122 miles from the property. And the majority of that drive is on Interstate 40. To the south, we have Prescott. Prescott is about equidistant from the property as Flagstaff. Prescott being roughly 123 miles from the property, and it has a population of around 46,000. To the southwest, you have Lake Havasu City. It's roughly 106 miles from the property and has a population of around 57,000. Lake Havasu City's claim to fame is the London Bridge. Robert McCulloch, the founder of Lake Havasu City, bought the old London Bridge when a new one was built to replace it. He then had the entire London Bridge disassembled and shipped over to the United States. The ship with the disassembled London Bridge sailed through the Panama Canal to Long Beach, California, and from there it was trucked to Lake Havasu City and reassembled piece by piece. Mr. McCulloch did this to spur tourism and interest in Lake Havasu City. The rebuilt London Bridge opened in 1971 and still stands to this day and remains one of Arizona's top tourist attractions. And then if you travel about 150 miles to the northeast, you'll experience Arizona's top tourist attraction, the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon receives roughly 5 million visitors each year and is considered to be one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. If you've never been to the Grand Canyon, you need to experience it at least once in your life. Phoenix, Arizona, the largest city in the state, is about 180 miles to the southeast. Anything you need you can find in Phoenix, including an international airport. And then if you head northwest, you're about 155 miles from Las Vegas. And I imagine that there's a decent amount of people in Las Vegas that would love to have a property like this. You could turn this 320-acre property into the ultimate bug-out ranch. There's so much varied terrain, yet much of it usable with a little creativity. That's evident by the roads and cleared paths you can see. You could have a main lodge, cabins, accessory buildings, or you could do something that a lot of people are looking into and many are actually doing, and that is building an underground bunker. There are several companies around the country that specialize in building these underground bunkers, and they're quite fascinating. Of course, you can just leave the property as it is, camp there, park an RV, but whatever you do, you're going to need a 4-wheel drive high-clearance vehicle. And this is the route to the property from Interstate 40. It's roughly 13.6 miles. And that 13.6 miles may take you an hour or more because you're going to need to drive slow along many portions of this road. But there are many people that will see this as an attribute, making the property even more secluded and private. We're going to go back to the interactive map for a moment and look at this path to the property that's marked here in yellow. You can see it connects up here to Interstate 40. As we mentioned, you're going to need a 4-wheel drive, high-clearance vehicle. An all-wheel drive vehicle may work. You could possibly do a 2-wheel drive vehicle. I personally wouldn't do it. But regardless, it needs to have a high clearance. When the photographer went out to document the property recently, he reached this spot about right here. And there was a tree that had fallen down that blocked his path from continuing on in the vehicle to the property from that point. So he just walked the rest of the way. But someone with a chainsaw could cut up that tree and move it out of the way. And if you look here closely at the interactive map, you can zoom in and see all those different building pads. There's one here. There's one up here. There's one down here. And then if you follow this road all the way to the west portion of the property, you see it curves right there and leads you to this pad right here. And if we turn on the contour lines, you can see that the elevation of this pad right here is 4,680 feet. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that that elevation is higher than nearly any point on the property. So the views from here are incredible. And I just noticed while looking at the map, there may be 1 or 2 additional pads. Actually 3. There could be one right here. It looks like it's a little overgrown, but there is a potential that there was a pathway cut in here to this point. You can kind of see it overgrown right here. Yeah, it would be a steep drive to reach that point, but it may have been cleared at one time in the past. The other 2 I see are over here to the north portion of the property, and the roads to these pads remain visible. If you look down here, this is the road after you cross the creek, and then you can see this road that's cut in right here that leads to this pad. And then if you look to the west, go back down here, there's another road that shoots off this, what I would call a main road right here. And if you follow that up to the north, there appears to be another pad right here. So in total we see 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks like a pad. 5. One down here. 6. And I'm going to wager that this was probably one as well, because this is a really level area right here. This is probably one of the more level areas on the property. You can see the distance between the contour line. That means it's a much gentler of a slope than, let's say, the distance between these 2 contour lines right here. And it took a lot of work to create the roads and clear these pads. My imagination wonders as to how long ago it was done, but what's even more intriguing is why. What were the plans that someone had at one point in time for this property that they saw the value in building these roads and clearing these pads? The answer to that question we may never know, but there is a question we can find the answer to, and that is, what would you do with this property? If you were to become the new steward of this 320-acre property, what would you do? I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments below, and while you're exploring this land dream, do it without the constraints of financial resources. And if you have the financial resources and you'd like to secure them in this 320-acre property, head on over to our website, LANDIO.com. There you'll find a ton of information about the property and the surrounding area. The 320 acres is priced at $320,000, which is an even $1,000 per acre. There's no HOA or HOA fee, and the property taxes are about $775 per year. And that's for the entire 320 acres. This property is listed with Arizona real estate agent Patrick Hawley with Coldwell Banker Realty. For questions or to purchase this property, please call Patrick anytime. His number is 928-399-9141. Again, that number is 928-399-9141. And on the property presentation page at landio.com, you can find over 150 images of the property and surrounding area. Once you're on the Images tab, click the full screen icon, then click the grid icon to view all those images in a grid format. Then you can choose which image you'd like to view and just click it to view it in full screen. And on the Map tab is the interactive map, which you can then open in full screen. And if you scroll down on the page, you'll find a detailed description where there's links to additional resources and then the distances to nearby cities and points of interest, along with links where you can find more information about those locations. On behalf of myself, my family, and the entire team here at Landio, we sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and ask that you please help us make the dream of land ownership come true for more people by sharing our website, our properties, and our videos with everyone that you know. Thank you and God bless.